Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another installment of Life Stories. My name is Jesse, and I'll be filling in for Trent once more while he recovers from his illness. Let him know you miss him in the comments. In the meantime, we've got more stories from the deep dark depths of Reddit/entitled parents. Pour a drink and put up your feet, because we're getting started now. Our first story is titled, Entitled Aunt and Uncle. How dare you make your daughter your successor? Our son deserves that job. My boyfriend's father recently announced that he plans to retire in a few months and hand over the reins of his company to his right hand, i.e., his daughter and my BF's sister, Shania. She has been working with him for over a decade and has played a pivotal role in growing the company. She's an astute business person, and everyone agrees that she is the ideal candidate for the job. Everyone except boyfriend's paternal uncle, entitled uncle, and his wife, entitled aunt. When they heard about this, they were horrified. How dare his brother put a woman in charge of his business? How could they overlook their son, BF's cousin, who was obviously more qualified for the job? By virtue of having male genitalia. They didn't say it in so many words, but this is pretty much the gist of it. The uncle's son was denied a job at the company years ago on account of his erratic behavior and general buffoonery. Back then, the uncle insisted that his son should be handed a cushy job at the company simply because he was family. Now, the uncle had the gall to expect his brother to make him in charge of the company when he steps down. His reasoning is that only a man should inherit the family business and that it just wasn't a woman's place. The uncle actually seemed way more upset about his niece getting the job than he was about his son not getting it. He and his wife kept repeating the same nonsense about how it was a huge mistake to put a woman in charge when male members of the family were available. BF's dad tried to explain to them why Shania was suitable for the job and the EU and EA's son wasn't. However, it's notoriously difficult to reason with bigoted turd heads. They refused to listen and actually suggested that BF's dad take their son under his wing and teach him. Because he's so smart and he can learn really fast, he'll run the company way better than Shania, you'll see. Also, since your son, i.e. my boyfriend, isn't man enough to be your heir, you should give our son a chance. They kept making ridiculous arguments like, what about when she gets married? She'll change her surname. My boyfriend's dad tried to explain to them that whether she gets married and changes her surname or not is entirely her decision. And if she does, how on earth would it affect her business acumen and leadership skills? When my boyfriend's dad and sister shut them down, they changed their tactics. Yesterday evening, BF received a call from his aunt. She went on an insane rant about how my boyfriend's dad didn't know what he was doing. She then tried to provoke my boyfriend. She told him since he was the son, it was his natural right to succeed his father, and he shouldn't let his sister rob him of it. My boyfriend told her to never dial his number again and hung up. These bungholes knew very well that my boyfriend has never been interested in his dad's business. But I guess since their son wasn't getting the company, they decided to try and provoke a feud between my boyfriend and his sister. Because they're the kind of sad, bitter little turd nuggets who just cannot see other people happy. Well now, that's certainly a sticky situation involving cheap insults and old-fashioned ideals. I think we can all agree that in a perfect world, the most qualified person should get the job. Or maybe that's just me. Moving on, our next story is titled, Hit in the Face for Having the Audacity to Ask a Parent to Control Their Child. I was talking to an old friend I haven't heard from in ages, and they brought up this story, so I thought I'd share it. I used to work at Dillard's in the children's department, so I saw my fair share of entitled behavior from our customers, but this incident happened to my coworker. A customer was browsing around with her 4 to 5-year-old son. He was running around, knocking things off racks, etc. The mother made no effort to control him until he crashed into her a couple of times. She told him to go sit in one of the chairs by the dressing rooms. The chairs were pretty nice and upholstered in a silk-like fabric. My coworker was removing garments left in the changing rooms, and as she passed by the little boy, she noticed he was pushing a small car, think Matchbox-style car, all over the back of the chair, and it was shredding the fabric. She spoke to the boy and asked him not to do that. He responded by blowing a raspberry at her and pushed the car with even more force. She went to the mother and said, "Your son is destroying the chair with this little car. Could you speak to him?" Which is way nicer than I would have put it. The mother stopped and stared at my coworker. They stood there just looking at each other for what my coworker described as too long and very awkward. Finally, the mother asked, "So?" My coworker started saying, "Well, could you?" And before she could finish the sentence, the mother slapped her across the face with the hanger she was holding, so hard it broke a hanger. Now, I would have beat the snot out of that woman right then and there. Job be darned. My coworker just turned around and went to find our manager. She first encountered an off-duty police officer who works security in the store, and he is a close friend of mine, and told him what happened. He went with her to the manager. The manager went over to the mother, listened to her rant, apologized to her for the misunderstanding, and gave her a 10% discount for her troubles. My coworker was so stunned, she couldn't even speak. Even the cop was saying WTF just happened. The cop turned to my coworker and asked if she wanted to press charges. Before she could answer, the manager interrupted, saying that wouldn't be necessary. Meantime, all the other employees in the department are watching all of this go down, and I had just walked back in from my break. I see my coworker has a huge welt across her face and is bleeding under her eye. My coworker told the cop she did in fact want to press charges. The manager told her she couldn't do that if she wanted to keep her job. She told him that was fine, she quit. The manager was still insistent that the mother not be troubled by all this. The cop said, "She could have put her eye out and I am arresting her. If you don't like it, you can take it up with my commander." The entitled mother was still acting smug until she saw the cuffs. Then she started screaming the usual nonsense. "I'm gonna sue all of you. I'll have your badge. Do you know who I am?" etc. No one but the manager cared, and she still went to jail. All of her other employees and customers who were watching clapped as she was being let out of the store in cuffs. The manager started in on the employees about how to correctly deal with situations like what had happened. We all looked at each other, and without saying a word, we all clocked out and left. All of us. Good luck running the entire department by yourself. We hung around our injured coworker until she was done with the police report, and then took her to lunch. She said she'd been planning to apply at a different store in the same mall anyway, but hadn't planned on quitting the way it happened, and worried that Dillard's would give her a bad reference now. We convinced her to go to the other then, injured face and all. She explained what happened to the manager there. She was hired on the spot and told her they don't put up with junk like that. If a customer hits you, no matter who they think they are, charges will be filed and they will permanently be banned from the store. I spoke to my cop friend a few days later, and he said the crazy woman nearly drove him insane with her screaming and threats on the way to jail, which wasn't close. After she saw that wasn't working, she started pleading and bribery. He said he didn't think he'd ever been so glad to hand someone off to booking. All of this happened ages ago, and since that day, I've never stepped foot in Dillard's again. Screw them. I don't know about you folks, but I am so touched to read a story that so perfectly embodies what this channel is about. I salute all of you brave retail warriors out there. Our last story is called 3 Kids for 5 Hours for $20. Sure. So first things first, I'm a nanny and my rate is $20 an hour, low for this area because I'm a student. I live in New Zealand where the minimum wage is $17.50. I work for a wonderful family with one 7-year-old child who I love to work with. My aunt knows that I work as a nanny and has her own nanny. She messaged me on Thursday night telling me she's in a bind and needs someone to watch her 3 kids, aged 2, 5, and 7, the next morning and is begging me to do it. I asked my boss if they're okay if I'm watching her kids as well, and my boss is fine with it. I messaged my aunt to say I can and I'll do it for $60. She throws a fit, but seeing I'm the only one who can, she relents and says she'll pay. Day comes, juggling 4 kids was a challenge, but I handled it with mild threats of duct tape. Her husband comes home explaining that he thinks 60 is too much for a 1 and offers me 20, and I stand firm that I needed it to be 60 and that I won't back down. He complains for about 20 minutes before giving up and paying me 60. They're now going around the family saying I was a total B for not doing it for free because they're my cousins and I'm already getting paid by my boss. This is driving me crazy, and I've gotten angry phone calls and texts from everyone else, that side of the family except my mom, who thinks she's being a nut job. The reason she needed me to come in when she had her own nanny was a scheduling conflict, and she got called into work. She had contacted other family members, and they refused to watch her gaggle of brats. You know, I have plenty of family members who expect special treatment because we share genetics, but there's a fine line you gotta draw somewhere if you don't want to be taken advantage of. I hope that each and every one of you stands up for yourselves at some point this week. In these trying times with toilet paper shortages and all that, give yourself a pat on the back that you found a sock or an old magazine or something. We're all just trying to survive another day. Anyways, that's all the time we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for tuning into Life Stories. My name is Jesse, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more Reddit content coming your way. We've got more exciting things in the works for you guys, so stick around, and we hope to see you soon.